सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये। Page 54. न प्रकाशेऽहमित्युक्तिः न प्रकाशेऽहमित्युक्तिः यत्प्रकाशैकबन्धना यत्प्रकाशैकबन्धना स्वप्रकाशं tamātmānam अप्रकाशः कथं स्पृशेत्। So in the last shloka we saw that प्राग अभाव चरम प्रथम क्षणम उत्तर अभाव चरम प्रथम क्षणम, meaning to assume that the Atma Chaitanya is limited and is kshanika or kshanika vijnana doesn't hold its ground, because the kshanikatva is only to that projected and not to the self. And he takes the logical approach where he says that which you call as birth and death, in the Vyavahara we see that it is an expression of prior non-existence, and death is that which is posterior non-existence. Therefore it is not the experience of the self as being born or as being dead. That which is experienced as birth and death is only of the layer of matter which is at the projected reality level. All that which you are holding to is completely logically destroyed. Everything that which we hold on to belongs to which phase, which realm? This, that which we call as my world. This, that which I call as my world, is for somebody that is born and will die. See, in the Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, this concept was not introduced. Give me a glass of this concept was not introduced. It was in a very preliminary stages. A foundation was laid out. But here, he very emphatically says, all that is to train the mind logically to see the temporariness of the layer of matter, which we call the material world. Various kinds of angles and perspectives were given. Now here, its very existential reality is being shredded with a powerful logic. And what is a powerful logic? He says, that which cannot be proven as taking birth and dying, in between that birth and death, how much of Vastavika Satta should be given to it? Meaning, it's an objection raised, not a question to be answered. Meaning, it does not hold its ground. That which cannot hold its ground, we are caught up in that in the sense of reality. Thank you. And we create equations of how to balance it out in that particular sense of reality that which we have given it to. And the prominence that it takes, that we have absolutely no time, resources or energy left to even pursue anything subtler beyond it. It just consumes everything. Now, when a child sees a scary movie, for that child it is a very lasting impression because the child thinks that it is real. But for somebody that knows that it is just a mere projection and goes watches it, there are people that go watch different kinds of emotions. There is action, there is thriller, there is comedy, there is horror. As if life and its happenings are not good enough a horror, they pay for it, go watch horror movies. But from what standpoint of understanding that it is a mere projected reality which I am cherishing, knowing that it is a projected reality. The exuberance of freedom that one can cherish from this standpoint, that it is just ephemeral and my participation is just a play. The sense of freedom, not having that pressure, that anxiety, that fear, the self-doubt, the validation that is required, and identified with this body, mind and intellect, loathing every single layer. My body is not perfect, my mind is not perfect, my intellect is not perfect. They can never be perfect. They're limited and limited by matter, and the matter does not have the sense of that perfection. It will have its limitations. See, this body is very, very vichitra. As long as it functions well, it's a smooth sail. It's like one of those high-end cars. Once there is a replacement or a tinkering required of anything, you understand, anything and everything can go wrong. You try to fix one, it creates something else. You try to take care of that, it creates something else. body's nature is that. See, our idea and perspective of adding values into life, the karma yoga, all of that is to create enough space where I can have the sharpness of the intellect to get out of the cycle. Not to reaffirm it and get caught up in it, which I am already there. Say this last shloka, 15th shloka was to the level of what Mandukya Karika says. I can negate the world provided you prove the existence of it. Not from the pratyaksha or paroksha pramana, which is what we end up giving. Oh, and yesterday somebody asked, Swamiji, you said Shabda Pramana, and we say that all other Abrahamic or all other methods, religious methods, are based on book. So when you say Shabda Pramana, so we are also basing it on Veda, and why are we not dogmatic? I said Shabda Pramana is not the book. The book is of relevance because it gives this Shabda here means the Pramakaranam, that which is logically arrived at as knowledge, and that knowledge is my very nature. That is called Shabda Pramana. To put it in simple terms, the logical approach. Now, whenever there is a logical approach, there cannot be dogma. Because in a logical approach, you would have to ask several questions, questioning the very logic. Therefore, the masters have said, don't take it because the scripture says it or the guru says it. You go evaluate, challenge every single stipulation, logic that has been thrown at you, try to prove it wrong. When they're throwing that kind of a challenge saying, try to prove it wrong, where can there be a dogma? Dogma can exist only when thou shalt not ask a question, thou shalt not question the very authority of it. Therefore, the reverential attitude towards it, because it gives us the freedom of logically approaching and transcending everything. That is called Shabda Pramana. Prama, that which gives that Prama means knowledge. Pramakaranam, that which gives us the very absolute sense of knowledge. See, when we go through the Tarka, Nyaya, Mimamsa, it gives us the strength of that logical approach to evaluate everything, to a point as to even understand what is knowledge and what is the evaluation of it, how different is it from that which we call as the knowledge of the world and knowledge of the self. So that which is logically approached, and the challenge is the students, where you have the freedom, you should have the freedom of asking, but asking the right questions. There should be a logic to that questioning also. That because which is said, it is not just to say that bol diya to bol diya bas. Where else do you find this kind of absolute sense of freedom to the student where you can ask these questions? Sadly, in our education system in Bharatvarsha, that entire ability to think independently is being lost. Because the school standard is in the score of the student, and you just mug it up, vomit it out, and done. Now, almost every college that I am visiting, I ask, in your semester systems, they have 2 semesters or broken down into 3 semesters. So 3 semesters, of a year, the first semester that you have studied, by the time you go to the second semester, because you have just memorized it tatkalika, and another question that is, when do you prepare for it? A day before. One fellow surprised me or shocked me saying, the day off. Quickly that guide and mug it up, go throw it there on that answer sheet, and most of the answer sheets are made user friendly, teacher friendly, where it is A, B, C, D. अब नहीं पता तो तुक्का लगा दो. The very purpose of education is this knowledge that has to be, and the knowledge comes through the questioning and the ability to think through. So when we say Shabda Pramana, we are not talking of a book. Yes, all this logic is given in that book, but that book throws that question saying, just because it is saying in this book, it is not that you have to take it for granted. Do you personally, subjectively understand it? Until you understand it, keep questioning it. They are not scared of it being negated. The challenge is upon us to try negating it. And after the attempt of continuously looking at it from various standpoints and trying to shred it in every possible way, then when you come to understand that, oh, thus therefore this is infallible logic, the settling that happens in the buddhi, it comes to that tip of its focal point. And finally the experience that I am this. This logic is trying to help us completely discount, not 80%, not 60%, shata pratishata, 100%. And this is that which you are talking of between birth and death as so much as real. Birth and death itself is not experienced. So what do we talk about the reality of everything that which is in between? And if the depth of that sentence is understood, it should pause us to think, it should pause us to evaluate so many things in life. The first time I was reading this book, when it came, it was a distraction. I think it was taken by Swami Brahmananji when we were in the course. So after the 15th shloka, we had to write notes and submit. So I very sincerely went to him and said, I am unable to proceed forward. Why? The profoundness of that 15th is stuck so deep that it has become a distraction, that I am not able to focus on the rest of it. Then to my relief, Swamiji said, then the book has done its purpose. Because it should leave you unsettled to evaluate and question everything that which we call as real. If it is not real, then we will come to the standpoint of Arjuna, wherein he says, if it is not real, then why should I? Why should I engage with it anymore? Not from lethargy. Logically approaching, why should I engage with it anymore? It is not real. Now from this relevance, try understanding karmanyavadhikaraste. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuhu mate sangaha astu akarmani. To not do, you don't have a choice. Asangaha mate sangaha astu akarmani. You cannot just leave. The pressure of your prarabdha will force you there. But now, understanding this evaluation, what are we hankering for the karma phala? All the karma phala is for the atma trupti. We are seeking that permanence of result through every single action. And none of it can provide. And it is okay to say initially that do your best, leave the rest, as the crux of that shloka. It's okay to begin with. But the depth of it to understand that karma phala that which you are seeking, which is the atma trupti, anything that which you are seeking it in cannot provide. Thus, therefore, the conclusion is karma cannot give you that atma trupti. You are wrongly anticipating and expecting the right thing from the wrong place. Therefore, if you remember, Gurudev gives a perfect example of somebody trying to search for a key lost somewhere, but searching elsewhere because it seems illumined place. How futile is that effort? Unless somebody kind-hearted finds it from that place and places it in the place where you are searching. You lost it in somewhere, you will find it only there, but you are searching it elsewhere. Thereby, every step of the way of the jiva is riddled with disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And not only that, I am disappointed, then I thrust that disappointment on others to create a guilt feeling. Son, I am disappointed in you, says the father. I am disappointed with this system. I am disappointed with this government. None of them can give that atma trupti. We will stay disappointed only. Knowing that it is disappointment, we go again and again seeking appointment, because that atma trupti, no other place that we have ever evaluated that can be found. Therefore, when Bhagavan in the last chapter he says, Anyatha sharanam nasti, tvameva sharanam mama. I have tried everywhere else. So to such person, what does Bhagavan say in the 18th chapter? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Sarvan anyan dharman tyaja. All other assumed realities that which I wear masks of, drop all of it. Mam ekam. Meaning that Atma Chaitanya alone, seek refuge in that, and that alone will give you that Atma Trupti. But how to break that shackle? You have to ask the right question. Maybe I have given this silly example earlier. There was a lunatic asylum. The old doctor was handing it down to the new doctor. So he was going around introducing all the patients and their different levels of whatever they are going through. In one particular cell, there is this fellow who is rowing a boat. So this fellow asks, see how we say that I am questioning, but our questions may be wrong questions. This fellow says, Arey bhaiya, but where is the boat? Now panic sets him because he sees there is no boat. So what does he do? He starts swimming. What should have been the right question? Where is the water? न रहेगी बांस न बजेगी बांसुरी. We are saying that the samsara is a problem. The question asked is, where is samsara? When birth and death itself is not the experience, how can we end up giving so much of reality to that which is in between that birth and death and get caught up in that and then claim and then say that why did Bhagavan create such a creation? It is me who is choosing to be attached to it. Nobody is forcing us to be attached to it. Is that point clear? I am just reaffirming what we discussed yesterday. Now here, moving forward, the gear is switched. And what is the gear? He says, but this ignorance is the cause of all of it. I am born with that ignorance. I am bound to that ignorance. There is no method to clear that ignorance. So here he takes the angle of approach to that ignorance through the Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira or Sushupti Avastha or Avidya, they are all synonyms. With slight variation of understanding and depth to each one of those words. So he says, न प्रकाशे अहम इत्युक्तिः यत् प्रकाश बंधना. प्रकाशैकबंधना. स्वप्रकाशम तम आत्मानम अप्रकाशः kathaṃ spṛśet. When I say that I do not know, when somebody asks a question, I do not know is your answer. Once I asked, do you know Siberia? Have you been to Siberia? The answer is no. And this was a satsang in Houston. So somebody raised the hand. I said, yes, I have been to Siberia. Then I asked some other random place. I said, yes, I have been there. After like 5-6 times, then I put my book down and I said, where do you work? He said, I work for an oil company, and wherever you have mentioned, we have gone there for oil exploration. So there is a place, there is a vastu, there is an experience. When I say, no, I don't know that experience, I don't know that place, I don't know that vastu, I don't know that person. When I say, I don't know, meaning, when we say even in English, right, a little sophisticated English, pardon my ignorance, meaning, I do not know. I do not know means I am ignorant about it. The question asked is, do you know that you do not know? Whenever I say I do not know, so what is that Karan Sharira or that Sushupti Avastha like? All the layers that I function through are withdrawn. The organs of perception action withdrawn. The thought functioning as the mind withdrawn. The thoughts functioning as the intellect withdrawn. The thoughts functioning as the chitta, memory, withdrawn. The thoughts functioning as the ahankara, that also is withdrawn. They are all vritti, different textural ways of format of vritti. Vritti meaning thought. All of this is withdrawn. So I do not know any kind of, now at the Sharira level, it is the Shitoshna, the duality, the polarity of Shita and Ushna, etc. Shitoshna is the example. All the dvandva of the body level, the bodily identification itself is withdrawn. There is no organ of perception or action functional. When that is withdrawn, there is no sparsha jnana. For me to say that, I am feeling cold or I am feeling hot in the deep sleep. In the lucid state, we may still feel. Unconsciously, we may draw the bedsheet upon us. But in the deep sleep, there is no recognition for Shita Ushna. Duality is not there. At the emotional level, at the mind level, there is no Sukha Dukkha. Why is that state a state of happiness? Because the polarity doesn't exist at any one of these layers. I remember, I don't remember. Whether it is shloka or a person or the name. The polarity at the mind level is also not there. Mana avamana. Not there. At the intellectual level. Respect, disrespect, not there. That place where none of these ever happen, that is called Sushupti Avastha. Ignorant of all of these. Probably it is only in this Sushupti Avastha when we say ignorance is bliss. But we end up using it in the waking world. That is where it is not applicable. In the complete state of ignorance, I am not. But the fact that that state was illumined, therefore when I wake up, I know that I was in a state where I did not know. And this ignorance cannot envelop, touch or cover that illumination. Supposing I have left my phone under a book and I left my Angavastra on the top, it happens. I forgot where I kept. It was late in the evening. I had just locked the door, so I came back in. So without turning the lights on, I said, please try ringing my number. Just stepping out of the satsang, it would be in mute. but then I keenly observe the entire corners. What am I looking for? Once the call goes in, it lights up. When it lights up, in spite of the layers, the brightness shines through. Not completely, but it shines through. Light cannot be touched by darkness. So he is asking a question. He is saying, svaprakāśaṃ tamātmānamaprakāśaḥ kathaṃ spṛśet. Even in that deep sleep state where ignorance is solid, colossal ignorance, that cannot touch the Atma Chaitanya because it is svaprakāśa rūpatvat. It is of the very nature of self-illumination. Supposing when I light the lamp, what happens as soon as I light the lamp? Darkness is gone. He says, darkness gone is the second step. What is the first step? It illumines its own presence. The moment the light is lit, it illumines its own presence first. And then the darkness is, as though, if you put it in a sequential order, though it happens simultaneously, it illumines its own self. That's what we mean by svaprakāśa. That it illumines its own presence and it illumines the darkness as well. So the example given in Atma Bodha, now when you go out, you ask somebody, is there the sun? They say no, clouds are covering the sun. It's a vyavahara bhasha, not the reality. Clouds cannot cover the sun. What is the cloud covering? The covering is of our vision and not of the sun. But in vyavahara we say it is covering the sun. Vyavahara language is quite funny. When a child is born and you buy clothes and the child is exponentially growing, but we don't want everybody's drishti to be on that growth aspect, so we shift the attention and we use a very absurd statement. And I say, the clothes have become small. ऐसा कैसे? The clothes have not become small. I have become big. The body size has increased. I say that our ancestors were quite well tuned. They say the drishti should not go towards the child and the growth. That's what we call drishti dosha. In Telugu we say, right? Dishti tagli. That is a drishti dosha. So to take away the attention of that individual observing from the child, they take it to the cloth. They say, कपड़े छोटे हो गए. अरे बाबा कपड़े छोटे नहीं हुए. We use, but that may not be the reality. When I say the cloud is covering the sun, the cloud cannot cover the sun. It is covering my vision. In fact, the presence of the cloud is illumined by who? It is in that sun's light alone that cloud is also illumined. A gentle breeze, that cloud passes away, And that which was always shining reveals itself. It is of the nature of the self, which is svaprakāśatvat. It is self-illumining, does not require any other source or affirmation of any other authentication. That it cannot be touched by that ignorance. It says, svaprakāśaṃ tamātmānamaprakāśaḥ. Ignorance, kathaṃ spṛśet. It cannot even touch, let alone impact it. So his questioning is so beautiful. So therefore, while interacting wherever I am interacting, where should the focus be? I, the illuminator. All the psychological things can happen when I am functioning through and functioning as the mind, as the intellect, as the sharira. In the business world, they teach techniques. How to sell, how to market, how to influence that individual who is right there, how to influence their mind. Psychological games खेलते रहते हैं हम लोग. A good marketing is where you don't put a price. The value is not the focus. The price is not the focus. You create a sense of value for it. The mind gets entrapped in that value. Thereby, however pricey it is, it doesn't matter anymore, because the value is what I value more. I get trapped. See, all these NGOs, when they do all these kinds of seva, whatever they do, if you have seen their pamphlets, flyers, different kinds of multimedia, they'll take the most pathetic scene. People crying, people in disease, people in old age, people in helpless condition. And then that is what they will print, that is what they will project. The moment the mind sees it, it has already evoked a certain value. And to that value we are entrapped. If this example is understood, the entire field of this ignorance, it is we who are adding a value to everything to which we are being bound. Because I am trying to function in, function as, and function through that which is the extension of ignorance, which is the identity with my body, mind and intellect. Thus thereby my extension to the outside field of material. So whenever we have a house party and we have children at home, the moment you say that there is a party, up until then that fellow was careless with his toys. The moment you say that there is a party, he will start patiently gathering all his toys, which he thinks is a secured corner where no other kid coming will touch his toys. Invariably, when that party is happening, whatever puja function has happened, and then you are having leisurely meal with all your friends and family. So there are different groups that gather, collect within that gathering. All women on one side, all men on one side, all children are in one side. And they have their own focal points of discussions. when you are busy discussing all of this, politics, gossip, whatever it be, suddenly you hear a siren and you distinctly hear two children crying. The parents are so tuned, which siren belongs to me? Wherever that mother or father is sitting, suddenly will get up. And again, invariably, one of the siren is of the host, whose child is also crying. And you rush in there, and there is a toy. The guest kid wants that toy, the child is now insecure. Why? My valuable. Somebody is taking. And I am insecure that will not be mine anymore. So I have to procure it, secure it, and then boastfully look around, this is mine. The environments have changed. We have grown horizontally, vertically. The toy has changed, but the cranky attachment has not changed. Because of the value that I have given to that in ignorance. That is what is going to give me fulfillment. Knowing very well that it has not given me fulfillment even a little bit so far that I have been attending to it or playing with it. Whether it is vastu, whether it is vahana, whether it is vyakti, whether it is paristhiti, whatever it be that I am holding on to. I am holding on to purely out of ignorance. And what is the drawn conclusion through that ignorance? Cannot part with it because this is what might give me that tripti, atma tripti. So far it has not. So far it has never given that. But Ashavadi, Ashajivi, there is a hope. We are hopelessly bound in that hope. And where does it all begin? It begins in that value that I have associated to it. So what should be the sadhana? The very preliminary sadhana. They say, first decide what is a want and what is a need. Very preliminary one. See, when we are talking about shifting me to a different place for living, I have been talking to Ramana, right? So he is talking about the lighting, he is talking about the flooring, he is talking about all that which it is being equipped with. And I am saying, Ramana, I need space for books. Whether rest of it, whether I have or not. They come under the list of wants. I can survive without them. I am giving my own example as to what is my definition of a need and a want. What is it that I cannot? Is the books. That is the only thing that I value. And I need a space for it because I need a lot of reference, lot of study. So I have upgraded the status of the books as I have added that value to it. Now we sit down and evaluate. About 99% of what we have is only a want. That which we need is a necessity, minimal. See, the want, if it is come all by itself, ठीक है तो है, नहीं है तो नहीं है. The need, you cannot have that luxury. So the first step, preliminary step. And from there, they say, now start looking into why do you have the value for anything? So when you evaluate from various standpoints, you will have to come to that standpoint where you come to understand that I have given that value because I have made an assumption. And the assumption is that which I am valuing will give me that atma-trupti. He is saying, if that assumption, all our assumptions are born out of that ignorant standpoint, can never ever give that atma-trupti. And who are you? That which the ignorance cannot even pass through or come close by. To a point wherein we say, that where there is light, there cannot be darkness. So I was trying to explain this very sublime thought to young kids. So one fellow kind of got the concept. We are sitting in a room like this, well lit. So he put his hand. Obviously there was a shadow of the hand on the floor. So he made a very good stipulation. He said, Swamiji, you said wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Look, there is light also, there is darkness also. Makes sense, right? When I made a statement, a profound statement, claiming a tall claim that wherever there is light, there cannot be an iota of darkness. And he proved me wrong. At least that is what he thought. That there is light also, there is darkness also, your statement is wrong. What was the flaw in his logic? He was being outside the parameter and then evaluating that there is light also, darkness also. I said, Bhaiya, how about if you who are seeing light and darkness are at that point where you are under the hand? Supposing I replace it with a gigantic hand, there is darkness, you are underneath it. A smart kid, he immediately understood that I am referring from a wrong standpoint. That where there is darkness, it is because light is blocked. That where there is light, there cannot be darkness. If darkness means, shades means, it has been blocked. Therefore, the beautiful statement that the Upanishad makes, asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. We chant that daily. Gamaya, Bhagwan, help me to change my very framework of standpoint from where I can perceive all of this. I am functioning from darkness into darkness, the projections of that darkness and getting identified by it. Let me function from the light of knowledge. Let be that. I am now stuck here, Gamaya. May I make that my sadhana to move this framework to that standpoint. And it is not like, there is a lot of effort in it. It is the understanding that has to shift. And the understanding doesn't happen because I am still at the level of valuing that which is from the standpoint of darkness or ignorance. I am still holding on to it because I have given a value to it. See, when we go to a grocery store, D-Mart or wherever, we go in trying to buy one or two things. But then we come back with cart full. About 40 to 50% of what you have brought is not because you want. It's not a need, it's not a want. It's because it was available, buy one, get two free. So my cart is full now. That is how I function in the world. I go searching, seeking for that meaningfulness, but it was available. I said, let me bring that also. Add value to it. So we seem to love that where there is discount given. Buy one, get two free. It is discounted price. See, here the Kavi is saying, give complete discount, devalue. Because the standpoint from where you are actually making that assumption that it will give you that Atma Tripti is from that ignorance. Not knowing that which I am seeking is verily my own nature and it is self-illumining, which cannot be even touched by that ignorance. So when you stand in that realm, a liberating sense of being. Liberation from what? The word mukti is so beautiful. Mukti is to get away from, abandon, leave, liberate from. Liberate from what? That which I have created an attachment to, a value to. Therefore, the sadhana initially was strengthen your vairagya through various means to come to a point wherein you now have the sensibility to devalue everything. Everything? I said everything is born out of that ignorance, my assumption. That question itself will become redundant because that which I am seeking is completeness in itself. It is my sense of incompleteness which is born out of that ignorance because I am wrongly identified, which forces me to find that completeness. The moment I understand that completeness is my very nature, do you think that mind will now crave for anything else which is incomplete? Therefore, the mind, intellect, all this antakarana also feels rested. Why? Because that Atma Tripti, there is nothing that can beat it. And that is it is ever available. It is not that you have to climb some 7 hills and cross the 7 oceans and 7 lokas to find it. It is right here, right now, which is your very true nature. Am I getting across? we can stop here. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramayaah, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, Asato ma sadgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityor ma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Tomorrow, being the 27th, I would request all of you to come by 6:30 itself. Tomorrow is Ganesh Chaturthi. So as you climb the ramp towards the temple from the gate, in that northeast corner we have a Ganesha, Prana Pratishthit Ganesha. So we will be doing the Ganeshotsav there and celebrating Vinayak Chavithi, Ganesh Chaturthi there. The timing is in the morning 6:30 to 7:30. So you can participate here, go back home and do at home also. So anyway you are coming at 6:30. We will shift the venue from here to there. So we will meet tomorrow 6:30 there.